Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Touring the AFC South. Well, I should say, welcome back. And this week, we're talking about the South, but, we can't talk about the South without one of the biggest and best cities in the South, and that's Atlanta. And there is a team in the AFC South that has a pretty good history, minus one part, I should say, with the city of Atlanta, and that's the Tennessee Titans. So we're going to travel down to Atlanta, kind of talk about the pairing of the cities and the different things that have happened between both, in terms of players and events, things like that. And I went and got somebody from Atlanta, the guy that talks Atlanta sports 24/7, 365, can give you anything you want to know about Atlanta sports. That is my guy, Antwon Smitty Smith. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Magic Mike?
Magic Mike. Oh no, man. Channing Tatum can have that, man. But yeah, man. Thanks for coming on, man. And we definitely gonna talk more. What's that?
Anytime.
Okay. Yes, sir. Just we're gonna talk a little bit Atlanta and Tennessee, and we can't go back to Atlanta and talk about the Tennessee connection without talking about the Super Bowl. And yes, we're talking about that Super Bowl that the Tennessee Titans lost to the St. Louis Rams by 1 yard. I got a question for you. Can you remember where you were during that run for the Titans in that game in the Super Bowl?
Oh, that last play, I was glued to the TV. I actually think that's in my top three. And the reason why I say that is because we seen one of the best NFL offenses of all time go against a very stout defense that no one gives credit to. And they always bring up the Music City Miracle. But I still think that Tennessee Titans team, it was stacked from head to toe, starting with Steve McNair and Eddie George on offense to the freak Javon Curse on defense. So where I was when I seen that play, I thought he scored, but after I saw the replay, I said, man, he was short. And I would love to see that game go to overtime because, like I said, it was, strength against strength. But it was a great game. Like I said, one of my top three all time.
Yeah, definitely a lot of Tennessee Titans fans were sad after that one. But, Tennessee Titans, I should say this, they're the only team I know they got a parade in their city after they lost the Super Bowl. So, yeah, actually, when I was listening, yes, the Tennessee Titans got an actual parade through the city of Nashville when they lost the Super Bowl because the city of Nashville was that much appreciative of their efforts. So, but and speaking of the Titans and after that game, did you think they were going to get back with all the talent they had?
I thought they were. They had an excellent chance to get back. Still had pretty much the same team. But the thing about it, when people get film on you, it changes things. So I kind of figured that's why they probably didn't get, back to that level. Because when people watch film on you and get a feel of what you're trying to do, it's very hard.
Gotcha. Well, fast forward to now, and we're going to switch over to a little bit of the Atlanta side of this equation. Now Atlanta has Dean Pease and Arthur Smith as their defensive coordinator and head coach, respectively.
Right.
What did you think of the hire when it first happened, and had you seen much of the offense that Arthur Smith had ran?
Yeah. I love the pairing. I actually had Arthur Smith picked as head coach before the search even started because I said that guy deserves a head coaching position for the great job that he did at Tennessee. Derrick Henry, as you know, his first couple of years, he was pretty much, I wouldn't say average, but above average. But when Arthur Smith learned to use him in Tennessee to his advantage and put the right pieces around him, you see what kind of all hell broke loose. If you want me to keep it simple, so if he finds that same type running game. Now I know he's not going to have a Derrick Henry, but if he has a consistent running game with running back by committee, we know Matt Ryan is one of the best play action passers in the NFL. You have a Kyle Pitts who's pretty dangerous, much like a Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley, the line is going to be improved because he's going to be coaching the offensive line as well, along with the other guy who came from Tennessee. So when you look at that dynamic, I think it's a perfect storm.
Gotcha. And as far as Dean Pease, what did you think of that hire?
I actually loved it, man. I watched him in Baltimore as their defensive coordinator and what he did. I like it that he runs a 3-4 and he uses how should I say it, oversized defensive lineman for 3-4 ends. So it's going to be something new and dynamic with the speed that they have behind them with Deion Jones, Foye Oluokun, and Dewan Harmon. Nobody's talking about him, the guy that came over from Detroit. I think that veteran leadership is going to be crucial for the Atlanta Falcons on defense under Dean Pease. And one thing that I would love to see him running, I think he would do it, is a lot of zone blitzing, much like the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Falcons, their defensive unit is kind of built with speed and a little bit of power up front. So can't wait to see what he's going to do.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of their offense, of course, one big piece that's not there anymore is Julio Jones. He's here in Tennessee, which another connection, of course. What do you think of their offense is going to look like without Julio?
I think it's going to be tough for a little while, but not as bad as people think because Julio missed 7 games last year, and Calvin really still put up Pro Bowl numbers. And as I said before, Kyle Pitts, who people are calling a unicorn, you can line him up anywhere on the field, and he has that same type of effect as Julio. People don't think about Russell Gage, but he also had 70 catches last year. So the passing game is going to be fine. It's going to be, as I said, the running game that will probably let you know how good this offense is going to be with Mike Davis, Cordell Patterson, who's a gadget type guy who will play running back, wide receiver, and probably kick returner. So just look for a lot of trick plays, a lot of screens, anything you can name. Arthur Smith is going to pull it out of his hat. But I think they'll be fine in the long run.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to switch back. Going to kind of go back and forth this show. Going back to the Titans, we're going to discuss one particular gentleman that played for the Atlanta Falcons, and he played or somewhat played for the Tennessee Titans.
Coffee.
That would be Mr. Vic Beasley Jr. Of course, people in Atlanta, they already know the infamous Chuck Smith rant where he drew the ire of Chuck Smith because of just the way he was playing. And, of course, the ire he drew of the Titans fans when he was here for that half a season. What exactly happened there in Atlanta for him to become who he became? And, of course, what exactly happened?
Well, I had no problem with Vic Beasley. I just think he didn't give his all on every play. There are some plays you see him, put in more work than others. But the thing about him, I think he needed more motivation. And they didn't have the person on the team to give him that motivation. The year they made the Super Bowl, he had 15 and a half sacks. A lot of people don't know, and they didn't think about it. Dwight Freeney gave him the motivation, gave him the mindset to go out and dominate. Now, you shouldn't have to motivate anybody that plays football, but some people need that. And Dwight Freeney provided that for Vic Beasley and should have made a Pro Bowl and should have been up for Defensive Player of the Year, but he wasn't. He led the NFL in sacks, his best year in the league. And after they let Freeney go, he went downhill again. So motivation was the key for Vic Beasley. You saw it in Tennessee. They didn't have anybody to motivate him and put on the other side of him. So it didn't work out.
Yeah, in Tennessee, it just seemed like it started off kind of funny as well. because he didn't show up on time for camp. And then when he got here, you never heard much. He talked about, I think it was a knee injury that he was dealing with. Right. And then when the season started, it just seemed like he didn't have that push or fire coming off the football. And after the Cincinnati game, I guess they decided that was it and they were done with him. And I haven't seen him in a camp since. So I'm guessing
he played football. He actually had a short stint with the Raiders. But if you've seen that clip, what I seen, he got demolished. And it's another, like I said, he was lined up as a defensive end on that video clip. He's not a defensive end. He's an outside linebacker. He's a speed rusher. If a speed rusher, say like Dante Fowler, see how he succeeded in L.A. next to Aaron Donald. They have to have a strong end to play next to help them get leverage if they can't use their arms or don't have the strength in their legs. And that was always his problem. He didn't have the lower body to go along with his upper. So if the offensive linemen get a hand on him, he's pretty much out of the play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know Titans fans were hoping for a lot of great things from him and a lot of great things from Jadeveon Clowney. And unfortunately, he got a big donut from both of them, which is, for those that don't know, it's a 0, as in 0 sacks. So, so we're going to keep talking Titans and getting back to the current Titans as they stand right now. Where do you think they can not only win the AFC South, but be the representative of the AFC in the Super Bowl next year in LA potentially?
I give them a great chance. And the reason why I say that, I don't think that they're going to switch up much from what Arthur Smith ran with the new offensive coordinator. I think he was there anyway. So they're pretty much going to run the same system. And Ryan Tannehill will be a big key to that. If he can get the ball and fit the ball where he needs to fit it. And like I said, pretty much with Atlanta, Derrick Henry is going to be key. If they can open up that run game and keep that passing game vertical, they'll be hard to stop. And that's for any team in the AFC and the NFC too. When you have a 260-pound running back that's a freight train, running the ball and wearing down the defense, play action becomes even more dangerous with a guy like Ryan Tannehill because he can run. So when you have a scrambling quarterback to go along with a power run game and two dynamic receivers in A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, I mean, you got to pick your poison. It's going to be tough to stop.
Right. So, I'll say this. When it comes to the Tennessee Titans, I've got them in the running for being an AFC contender. But of course, you've got the Chiefs, you've got the Bills, you've got the Ravens that'll be there, you've got the Browns that'll be there, and the Titans. Those 5 right there will definitely be right there. So it'll be interesting to see how those teams either progress or regress from the last season as well.
But you notice? Do you notice what you said? One of those teams were the Browns. What do they do best? Run the football. Same as Tennessee. Both of those teams are going to be the 2 teams to watch because they're going to run the football down people's throat. They're going to chew up clock, which keeps their defense off the field, keeps them more fresh during the game. So those 2 teams are going to be the 2 teams to watch, literally because of their run game.
Now, question I do have is, if you don't, what do you think takes the Tennessee to the next level in terms of additions and just things in general for next season?
I think I would have to say see how well they play on defense with all the key losses that they had. Dory Jackson, Malcolm Butler, just a lot of losses on defense. If they fill those spots, those roster spots properly with someone who can come in and fill in right away, I think they'll be fine. But I think that'll be their biggest challenge, not offense. And this is why I said the run game is even more important now because the less they're on the field and the more they control the clock, I think they have a better chance of winning games. With an inexperienced defense, you have to have that.
Well, one thing I will say is I think the addition of Bud Dupree from Pittsburgh is provide these healthy, and Danico Autry from Indianapolis will be huge for them if both of those guys are healthy and can contribute as well. And the one thing that nobody talks about when it comes to Danico Autry is he's kind of an older free agent. I think he's about 30.
Yeah.
So
30. Yeah.
a lot of people haven't talked about that, but I'm just wondering how he's gonna kind of fit in, being that his first time really a big splash free agent at 30 years old, I believe is what he is. So that'll be
Well,
interesting to
I
watch
mean,
as well.
that's true. But if he fits in the system, I think he'll be fine. It's just like Julio on the other side. If he fits into what they like to do offensively, and they can get him the ball down the field, I think he'll be fine. It's not how old you are; it's just how you fit in the system. Like I say all the time, Bruce Smith was about 38, 39 years old, still getting double-digit sacks in the league. So it's just all about how you fit with the team.
That's true. You're right. You're right. Now, I know this question is probably going to be an easy answer for you, but who has more wins next year, Atlanta or Tennessee?
I would say Tennessee, and I think Derrick Henry would probably be a big part of the reason why. I've said it before: clock control, ground game. It's going to register them a lot of wins. That young defense needs to stay off the field. So I think, Tennessee. I'll give them 10 wins to Atlanta's 8.
So you got 8 for Atlanta. Okay. All right. So you think Arthur Smith and Dean Pease will make that big of a difference for them, and the different players in different positions as well?
Yeah, it's their first season, so they got to get acclimated with what they want to do. You really don't become successful until you put your team on the field. Same thing with Dan Quinn. The reason why he went to the Super Bowl in his second year was because he put his team on the field where he wanted to do, his type players. And once you have your type players on the field that runs your schemes and what you need to be successful, that's pretty much it. So we will see.
Gotcha. All right. Now, if you had to pick the winner, the order of the AFC South next year, and that would be just giving the teams: the Tennessee Titans, the Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. What order would you put those teams finishing next season?
I still got to go Colts first, man. I love the ground game, and they have everything. Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, Carson Wentz can get back to his old self. Quentin Nelson is a monster. He reminds me of a young Larry Allen, old Cowboys offensive lineman. Until you find a way to slow down that ground game, Indianapolis is going to run wild. Tennessee is a close second, not far behind. I think Jacksonville jumps Houston because Houston is a dumpster fire and they have a long way to go. So I would go Indy, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Houston.
Gotcha. And now, my last question, and we're going to flip back to Atlanta. How do you see Atlanta finishing in the NFC South?
Tampa is still the team to beat, man. I'm not gonna lie. They're strong on both sides of the football. No, Tom Brady is not the reason. It's Devin White, if you want me to be honest. He's the guy that's the catalyst for that team. Defense was strong. Now, even though they had a weakness in the secondary, they covered that up pretty well because Devin White could cover, Levante David could cover. So Tampa Bay is still the team to beat. New Orleans is pretty much a question mark because of their quarterbacking situation. But I think Carolina jumps back up to the second spot because Christian McCaffrey comes back. Sam Darnold, I think, is a perfect fit for what they want to do. And Matt Rule's offense. And they built around defense last year, which I love. So their defense is going to be strong. So I think they will probably be a surprise second. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took the NFC South next year. So Carolina second, New Orleans third, and maybe Atlanta maybe finish fourth.
Gotcha. Well, you don't tell too many people that you had Atlanta finishing fourth.
Oh, hey, Mike. They know me, man. They know me. I keep it real, man. When you research the game and you do your homework, man, you're gonna always look at things differently. And they know me, so they respect. They always respect my opinion.
Gotcha. Well, I just want to thank you for stopping through. If you would tell the people what you got working on. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Hey man, I'm always working on everything Atlanta, from the Falcons, the Braves, the Hawks. I got to get more into Atlanta United. But if you want to find all my work, just go to my Twitter account at fatboyslim_21. That's FATBOISLIM_21. And before I get out of here, man, I just want to say, man, thank you for always supporting me. Always motivate me to be a better writer, um, content creator. You always give me great ideas, and I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks again. That means a lot, man. Thanks
No
again for
problem.
coming on. This has been another episode of Touring the AFC South, not New York, the Tennessee Atlanta crossover episode, and we're out.